Welcome to the first wine in our Dornier range. Here we have got the 2009 Dornier Chenin blanc. In the Dornier range, it's mostly, or 100% actually, just single varietals. We've got a Cab, a Merlot, a Pinotage, and we introduced in 2009 the first Chenin blanc. It's just to show the diversity of Chenin blanc, as it is also in our Cocoa Hill range with the Cocoa Hill Chenin blanc, and then we also have it in our Donatus range. The Donatus White is a dominant Chenin blanc white wine with a little bit of Semillon. So what we're trying to do with Chenin is just show the versatility that we have. And here in the 2009 we've stepped a little bit away from the range, as the rest of the range in the Dornier range is coming from Stellenbosch. All the fruit is from Stellenbosch, whereas this one we've actually bought the fruit in from Swartland. And why did we choose Swartland? Well, it's a very dry area, number one, and it's also got some really old plantations of Chenin blanc. And this helps all with the concentration. The old vines produce very little grapes. I think they're producing around about 3 tons, 2.5 to 3 tons per hectare. And with the fact that it's also dry land, the berries are really small, so they don't get over irrigated, and the concentration that we get in the fruit is amazing. For the fermentation of this wine, we receive the grapes, we extract, in the press we extract only about 500 litres of juice per ton. We don't want to extract too much of the tannin or the rough characteristics that could come out of the grapes. So we only really try for about 500 litres per ton. After that, the wine is fermented in tank. We do it totally in tank, and it ferments for approximately about 2 weeks. The fermentation does slow down towards the end because the alcohol on this wine is a little bit higher than what we would have in the Cocoa Hill range. It's running at about 14.5%. The reason for that is we pick it a bit riper, so we're going for the more rich and ripe style of Chenin blanc as opposed to the fresh and fruity. So here we're going for the rich and ripe, but still remaining unoaked, and really trying to get those big flavours with a nice viscosity on the palate. So once we've gone with fermentation, we leave it on the lees, and the lees is all the sediment that remains after fermentation, which could be particles of grape, and it could also be the yeast that are responsible for the fermentation, and then these yeast die and they generally settle out. They'll lie down at the bottom of the tank, and we try and keep this in suspension because these yeast have a lot of flavours in them, and this gets released over time. So we'll leave it on what we call the full lees for about 4 to 5 months, just to get this real richness into the wine, and make it sort of quite a fat wine in essence, and with lots of flavours and lots of concentration which is coming from the grape. So on this wine, for me the dominant characteristics are sort of your more yellow fruits. There's a little bit of loquat, a little bit of litchi, some sort of slightly dried peach and pear. And I think the biggest attribute of this wine is the palate. It's got an amazing viscosity, an amazing depth and thickness to the wine, and really lingers on the back palate. Similar flavours as you get on the nose, so a similar flavour profile, but just real depth and richness. And I think that's got to do with, number one, the grapes that were picked quite ripe, and also got to do with the fact that it remained on the lees for about 5 months, with the regular stirring, regular mixing of the lees into the wine, just to incorporate those flavours in. And a really amazing wine, and we'll be making it every year from now on, and a good wine for us, a good seller, solid wine.